highest level of play we've seen. And so not at all surprising that it's this close, and any of those teams in the top 5 could take it. But for me, I'm so excited that we are indeed, like James said, we're ending it where it all started on Erangel.
Now, as we take a look at the teams that have chances of bringing it all home, I'm looking at the top of the list right now. Petrichor, TSM, Sonic's FaZe. I feel like I've seen all these 4 teams in the driver's seat on the final day crumble in the end.
They have.
In each their separate tournaments, they have all, in times past, failed to bring home wins when they were ahead. Oftentimes, it's been on the re-rise of Twisted Minds that came back in and brought it home. They're not here this time.
They're not here.
So I'm curious to see which of the 4 that we currently have in the top can maintain it, or if we're looking at day trade, Quantum Freaks 17, the world in which they get back-to-back insane finishes could potentially add even a 6 team to the mix.
The one team I actually really want to talk about that I'm kind of looking at and eyeing to win this is actually TSM.
Yeah?
The consistency that they have had, not throughout even just the group stages, but here in the grand finals, the 10-plus kill games that they've been able to garner really make me believe that they have the sauce right now. Something they're doing, they figured out, and it is working tenfold for them in these games, especially here in the grand finals.
I mean, just looking at the matches today, yes, of course, Sonic's get themselves back-to-back wins, but after that, it wasn't too amazing for TSM. While they, I say only, won the last game, they have been in placement points in all games.
Yes.
They have made it through the early game chaos in practically all games they've played so far. And now, with a Rondo win coming into the final 2 games, maybe that's the momentum that Purdy and the boys need to bring the win home.
But again, to the points of Avenger as well as Toffee's, you can't count out the Sonics and Petrichor, especially when they have confidence, especially because, as the Death said, they've been looking for this first big global win. I mean, they dominate regionally. They're due.
Yeah, do. They sure are, but oh my lord, being against these shots, that could be a huge fall for TSM. Purdy taken out early, and this was early game rotations for TSM. No weaponry in any of the cars in the nearby vicinity. They just have to back off, leave him alone, and that is TSM at a massive loss early on.
And to give credit a little bit to Kurt here, I mean, expecting someone here looting up on the road above Raz is this early is kind of weird, especially with that vehicle there. But yeah, that's a big player to lose.
To counter your point, I will say Freaks have done this split a trillion times in the past. The issue is with this plane path, it was very unlikely that he would already, because they landed earlier, they got into vehicles, they would have wrapped north. It was very unlikely that while he might get here, that he would have gotten here so fast. And speaking of getting here, Delvin might want to get out of here, as he is now getting a few parting shots from Relo as he makes his way back down towards the east.
Well, I still believe in TSM, even though I was making that point as Kurt went down. They can still do it with 3, but it's going to be much more difficult, especially with the way these teams are playing, right? Especially with how close this is. And we saw it in the last game with 17 and KDF. They really took their time. They weren't making many mistakes at all in those final circles, even though both of them had less members than TSM.
Well, on Sonics our eyes go. Current is at 3 points out of first. Now, Petrichor and TSM are tied in points, but Petrichor is currently leading in the tiebreaker, which of course is placement points. So if you are Petrichor, you set 1 placement point ahead of TSM. You know what that could be, what wins you the tournament. When it all comes down to it, of course, we will not know before about an hour's time from now. But full focus on all the people in the server right now, that's for sure.
Petrichor just sat there on the southwest side of it. You actually see 17 rotating just in between that duo split, going towards the center circle, which is already so contested. You have the Expendables, Falcons now trying to consolidate with their 2-2 split, Danawa coming to the east side of Yasnaya, and then KDF actually with a wonderful rotation to the north of Yas over that lake, and they now find themselves in a comfortable position just north of the Falcons.
An interesting talking point to add to it is none of our teams that we have racing for the top right now is set dead center. I mean, 17, should they not? Okay, it doesn't look like they're going to go heaven, so that might be a spot that Petrichor can claim that would put them arguably, at least over the first circle, and of course first circle doesn't guarantee anything, but at least off of the first circle in the best position here. TSM is dropping north over Stalber. Sonics are still looting. They're clearly just taking their time here, do not want to run into early game commotion, and FaZe are only now starting to make their way out of Milton. So everyone is playing it very slow outside of Petrichor, who knew there's space available to claim early on with the playing path the way that it was. Let's just go early, let's claim a spot and see where the next circle is going to take
But there's good reason for that, Toby, right? Because when you are one of those teams, like, sure, if you get the first circle pop on top of your dead center, great. But the reason why we see, especially when teams are kind of leading the pack, they tend to go towards the outside. They tend to go for an off-center circle position is because when circle does shift, when it posts, if you are dead center and you're now on the edge of the next circle, it causes rotational issues. So it's much more comfortable for these teams who are currently sitting at the top of the leaderboard to give themselves as many options as possible when the circle shifts, rather than being sat dead center and then being the edge of the new circle.
Exactly. TSM getting their rotation game continued, I should say, after the loss of Purdy early on. Of course, not what they would have wanted. We'll see what they can make as 3, as they're sat just on the southern side of Stalber. They do have Valatai and potentially Tianba rotating in behind them, so should this circle come north, they better be ready for teams to be in the nearby vicinity. But for now, looking good, all things considered.
You still have a few teams limping in here as we look at Na'Vi with a very wide split on that east side. You have Fairest and Sosed. I mean, Sosed literally on the coast cliffs over there, kind of overlooking, making sure that if anyone rotates past, they have that clear path to go through. And that's exactly what's happening right now. You see Diffix now making his way towards Sosed as well, and so they'll be able to take this hill. And this is a pretty decent position to hold in Circle 1, especially when it's this far into the waters. If the first shift doesn't go completely west, they actually have good options, and they have, more importantly, they have good information on what's happening in the circle.
And just to, for a brief second, take our minds back to the last game we just played, the fact that TSM comes out and wins that game is insane, mainly due to the fact that Petrichor went out in 14th, Sonics 10th, FaZe 15th place. They practically got no points, so this was the chance that TSM was going to get to try and bridge the gap that was set between them. So insane that they're able to bring it home, because we have seen TSM in the past. Like, my mind instantly takes me back to the game against Tygon, against AGG and Tego, where they couldn't finish it out, where they couldn't close out the game and bring home the win. So massive for the boys that they're able to do it in the previous match.
That was a 3v1, and in the past, even at other globals, you know, they've been given the opportunity and they weren't able to capitalize. But in that game, not only did it work out perfectly, but they played that pretty much perfect. They took their time, they got rid of Sonics, and so again, with the addition of Sparking to this roster, I think that was the sauce that they needed, that injection of new blood, and they have been so good ever since. And they've been super consistent. But now looking at this map, other teams coming in, we're now looking at the Sonics here to the southwest, coming in just behind BB Team, as well as Tiamba, who so far have 4 members up, which makes me happy.
It makes it easier to keep all 4 alive when you don't see opponents. Of course, you could flip a vehicle and get exploded that way, but for now,
don't stop jinxing.
Tianba is going to start their north side rotation, arguably further north than I thought they were going to go. But of course, seeing the plane path as far south as it was, not expecting there to be any threats looming in and around Komeshki. And well, I mean, good on them, because we can tell them that there really isn't. So keep the pedal to the metal and just rotate around this big old mountain, and you should be just fine out towards the east.
It seems like our Southeast Asia teams are just constantly running into each other in this finals, because you see Valatai with a wide split on Stalberg, quite a bit of control. Coming in right behind them is AGG, as we now are back to the Sonics.
I mean, off your point, just look at the leaderboard. It's only Daytrade who's been able to separate themselves from the rest of from APAC,
which is very surprising.
Bottom for all APAC teams, definitely not something we see too often. But of course, some roster shuffles here and there could be part of the reason why we're seeing results that we currently are. As this feed is amazing, we get both the map in the bottom right corner and in-game feed. Oh, they removed the map again. Unlucky. Well, and nonetheless, amazing feed as Petrichor start rotating further forward, maybe realizing now that Heaven is free.
Heaven is a banger position to take this early as well. As you stated, you know, center of Circle 1 doesn't really mean much, but more importantly, it gives them the options to rotate if they need to adjust, depending on what this circle does. If it does something wild and crazy, if it continues to go into the water, which quite frankly would cause chaos for the rest of the teams. But yes, it gives Petrichor a good foothold.
Now to set up the storyline for the circle shift to come, FaZe, Sonics, both still hugging the southern side of the first circle. We have TSM, as we saw before, up towards Stalber in the north, and Petrichor sat dead center. Pretty much no matter where this next circle is going to take us, unless if you go massively coastline towards Na'Vi. One of these 4 top teams will be favored. So it's going to be about what do they make of the circle that's going to come their way, how do they avoid the chaos of everyone trying to collapse on top prio positions, and how do they come out victorious? Because winning a game here with enough kills and your opponents going out early could set you up phenomenally for the final match of the tournament.
Not only that, but it just puts so much pressure on the other teams, especially if you're starting to get that jump frog. But look at this, Petrichor rewarded heavily for that position that many teams have the option to take heaven.
Rewarded heavenly? You might even argue. I'm not sure, but nonetheless, see here, Sonics.
Wordsmith.
Sonics are gonna start rotating the win on the west. They might get what we call liquid compound just east of where Ducey is currently positioned, and FaZe are opting to wrap west around Prison as well. We all know it, of course, anything south of Prison here is open fields. So either you have a compound or you are not really here at all. I mean, you find somewhere else to play from. TSM obviously realizing this too. They're gonna go down south, and you know what? A phase 2 commit to this tip could be very, very dangerous early on.
Yeah, especially because if other teams see that within proximity, I mean, as you said, it's a dip. They just get bombarded with utility left and right, but they'll opt to take it early, and if they can somehow hold this, Toby, that would be a big game opportunity for TSM.
Main issue, of course, with the split that they currently have, they came in from the far north, so have had little to no chance to properly scout out what's happening in the surrounding area. They should be able to stay put for a while, unless if an APAC team opts to pull up on them or something. But now, in the meantime, Deal, once again, I mean, the engager on the side of Danawa. I thought Anonix would be the spearhead of the operation here, but it's really been Deal to find the first knocks in their fights.
Deal's been fantastic for them, even going back to the first day on Erangel. If we remember that Stalber fight that took place where he was clutching so hard as the last member alive, he really has been the spearhead, but more importantly, he's been kind of the support, but the rock also for that team. So he's been everything. He's like the Swiss Army knife for for Danawa. I mean, it's wonderful stuff.
I mean, what a pickup, right?
Yeah.
What a pickup for a team that many people thought was going to be completely torn to pieces with how the roster was literally torn apart. Here they come, still in, I'd say the race, but depends on, of course, how well of a game they can get here. Not only that, but also how quickly the teams currently sat in the top end up going out.
And, you know, we've been talking a lot about the top because, yes, it's generally the most important thing, but even the small placements between 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, the implications of not only the PGCs, but the money, there's still so much to play for, even if they're not fighting for the top 2 spots.
Definitely, and that's what I love about the game. Yes, we of course focus on the winner of the tournament, but there's always so much to fight for. There is a PGC at the end of the year that all these teams are hoping to qualify for.
So now most of the teams here, Toby, have set up into this circle. You see KDF going for a split in Yasnaya as well as the north side of it. Sonics, meanwhile, actually comfortable on the kind of off-center here just below BB team, and they're going to find themselves with a lot of angles actually towards day trade, but as well as FaZe trying to come in the south.
It's always a little worrying to me when they somehow manage to untangle the knot that is Eastern Circle. A lot of teams rotating in a tricky phase 2, but they've managed to solve it here. The only issue is now that they're all set tight in each of their compounds, that next shift has got full commit written all over it. If this circle, pretty much regardless of where this next circle takes us, we're going to see 3, 4, maybe even 5 teams forced to full commit into compound breaches that I don't think they would want to have to do. But again, in this area of the map, either you got a compound or you're doomed.
Which is why we saw TSM. I mean, that's a symptom of why TSM took that spot so early. They know it's not that they don't know that that's a dangerous position to play in Circle 2. It's just that they really didn't have any option. They're essentially going for a game-winning play if they can hold that long enough. Yep,
FaZe starting their rotation early on, not expecting the circle to hard shift southwest, but you know what? They might just want to maybe not U-turn, but stick around, and that's exactly what they're doing. Boys, turn around, we got the circle. Let's stay right where we are.
So Cerberus have noticed that. They're taking shots, but moving over now to Tiamba and Na'Vi, entangled in a fight here. This is just on the east side of Mansion, and Diffix will find the first knock on a Pow Pow.
Massive fight for 2 mid-pack teams here, hoping to rock their way up the leaderboard. Na'Vi's Fairest is up on the roof already, trying to take the fight to CC. Nice nade lopped on in as he jumps around the corner. Now all Na'Vi's players back on the ground floor. Hagatori able to find 7-7 early on.
And just 2 members left now of Tiamba as they try to snake around and get around the side of Na'Vi, but there's a 3rd team coming in, and that's the Expendables, trying to get as many points as possible.
If you don't know what an Apex team is going to do, always believe that they might pull up on you, and at the worst possible time. Lin Shu, solo player left alive on the side of Chiamba as he gets back inside the building. Did Hakatori hear this? I'm not sure. That nade is going to explode. It's going to flush CC outside the window. But for now, Na'Vi is able to stay afloat.
Yeah, but again, the Expendables starting to close that vice. Blue's own grenades are in, and Navi's Hakatori, Diffix as well, will finish that one, but the Expendables Clories will finish Na'Vi in such a rapid succession.
Perfect cleanup by Expendables here. 2 kills rewarded, no casualties taken. Of course, this is on the very, very edge of the circle, but go west side of Mansion now. You can scout forward. You should be fine. A team that I don't necessarily think is going to be fine is TSM. They went from one dip to another, and this dip, I mean, there are so many teams that are going to have eyes in this direction. TSM currently shooting at them. Expendables might get to see them in a second as well, and if everything goes wrong, Quantum Freaks might just pull up on them.
Yeah, Cerberus, though, just putting the screws onto TSM. As you said, they have the most open angles on that, and then just above them is Falcons, although they're not going to be able to push over that ridge. Sonic should be able to see that, but Sonic's actually slipping into a great position in the circle during the rotational madness.
Definitely have. They took the compound that we talked about earlier. Many people, at least on the EMEA side of things, like to refer to it as the liquid compound. We'll see if they can maintain control, as now Anonix and Loki, hand in hand, peeks on through, takes out 2 from 17 Gaming. Just 1 player left on his foot, and that is going to be little, goes down and out. Solid shots coming through from Anonix to take out 17 Gaming in 14th place.
And Danawa fighting their way up the leaderboard. A win here could put them at least in shooting distance of the top 3.
Yeah. Definitely.
Especially depending on how Petrichor and TSM do, as well as the Sonics. But Sonics are poised to have quite a strong game here in that position as Falcons are getting bordered. And I have to imagine this is from Tig. Who else?
I mean, no, these shots are coming from the other side. Either it's Expendables or it's Petrichor. It's Ming. Yep, it's Ming from up high in heaven. You already have the high ground position. Let's see now, though, with this next shift. I feel like no matter where we go, one of the top teams are going to be favored. So who's going to get it? Who's going to get the blessing? FaZe in. Sonics in. Petrichor has to make a move.
TSM also in.
Yeah.
So yeah, Petrichor, I mean, you could tell they wanted to get rid of Falcons just in case they needed to make that rotation to the west, but unfortunately the mortar's missing, not really even getting any damage. So Falcons will survive for now, but they don't have vehicles either, so they are stuck here regardless.
Now TSM is in, but this might actually just be a curse in disguise. Issue being for Expendables, for Petrichor. I'm looking at their options coming out of the east side of this circle.
Not great.
I don't see a lot of other places they go from here than towards TSM. So yes, you could be lucky, survive, get 8 kills of a double pull-up, but there's also a world in which you take a ton of casualties and maybe even go down and out as the chaos unfolds around you.
Yeah, plus the likeliness of Cerberus coming in and realizing that there's a massive fight in that dip. I mean, it's not great for TSM, but again, they had to move, and this is the position that they ended up in.
Yep, definitely Petrichor trying now to fend off against Expendables, force them to maybe think better of it. I don't think they're eager to take this fight against them, especially seeing as the circle went further east. They're defaulting back to the buildings. They're trying to go Expendables. Are you sure you want to do this? How about you just rotate ahead of us, set up a third-party opportunity for us that we can pull up on in 10 seconds' time?
After you.
After you, my good sir.
Please.
Yeah, holding the door for their opponents to go in and die first, I think is what Petrichor wants to have happen, but clearly not the way that Expendables are wanting to play it out.
No, and you can see that 2 members of the Expendables are trying to set up on the other side, the eastern side of this, and now here comes Danawa. This is starting to spell trouble for Petrichor, Toby.
Where are they going on this? They're seeing these fights in front of them. They're seeing people in cars, people shooting. There are 4 guys chilling in a vehicle on the slowest pull-up I have seen in a very, very long time.
And they stop the car early. They don't want to give any audible cues that their push is happening. But again, the split from Petrichor could cause some issues because you have the Expendables now. They finally saw Danawa, and they have taken shots, and 1 will fall.
1 down, 2 down. Deal try to peek on over, do some damage in return, but now Petrichor is aware of the push as well. Summer realizing this has to fall back, knowing full well there's 2 teams on the nearby vicinity.
He also, Summer with such a nice nade onto Loki. Should be just 1 member left. It's Deal. It's always Deal, Toby, that has to pick up the pieces here, but I'm not quite sure he can do it this time.
Now Blue is on them as well. This is just collateral damage as finally Petrichor able to shut this down, but so many casualties have come their way. Ming, solo player on his feet right now. No, sorry, Chewy is here as well. as he's trying to somehow get some space for them to move forward, move into this next circle, but it's looking incredibly difficult with 7-7-7 alongside the remaining Expendables players having set up in front of them.
And meanwhile, while all this is happening, Cerberus has flexed out, and they're now starting to push towards TSM's position. And the implications of this fight could be huge as we see a member of Luke actually falling to Sololzi.
We said it earlier, it's a difficult position to try and defend, and it's not any easier with a push coming through from all sides possible. Kills coming through all over the kill feed right now. Ming trying to stay afloat, trying to get some more points for his team. He knows that they're still in first place, but they want to maintain that spot as TSM is eliminated. Barely any points, if any at all, for our current second place team.
And if you blink, you will miss it as TSM just got wiped off the face of Erangel. Cerberus with a great push. They realized that opportunity was there, and they took it so quickly.
Petrichor down to just one. Ming is still miles out of the circle, having to try and heal while also rotating forward, and Expendables know they're one player short. Falcons able to reset, 15 seconds to go in the circle, as Sonics alongside FaZe are still sat in very comfortable positions, both of them.
Yeah, Sonics is just...
You know what, if you catch
their lucky stars right now, that they've been very fortunate with Circle today. I mean,
yeah. You know what? Everyone's going to get those games. And again, we've been talking about it all tournament long. Everyone's going to get the games where the circles go your way. Sometimes you get them in the first couple of games. Sometimes you get them in the mid. Sometimes you get them in the last. Nonetheless, you still have to turn them into points.
Exactly. They still have to make them into points. And that's the thing. You can count on the Sonics to do that. When they're given Circle, most of the time, they will capitalize. But you do see AGG currently on the ridge just behind that compound on the north side, starting to kind of take control. As long as they get rid of the Falcons as well, they could be a headache for the Sonics.
And the thing is, in a world where Sonics get pulled up on now they die, that's a one-point game. So yes, there's that send up, but there's still plenty of players alive that can upset a potential good game for the SQ boys. Snagus is going to be down and out. Flood solo player left alive for Falcons. This is going to be a tricky push forward, as all Gamers Global know exactly where he's positioned.
Yeah, and as you can see, Sapao, I mean, he is dialed into that position. He knows exactly where a point is, and a point he will try to get, as we see now Cerberus starting to make their way towards the Expendables, and realistically, the Expendables is just one member, and he will go down. So again, Cerberus starting to come alive a little bit.
I was going to say better late than never, but I mean, with 1.5 game left to play, that race up to the top might be too tough for them. There is, of course, still a top 8 somewhat within reach, depending on how this match pans out. And now, though, for FaZe, yet another team with 0 points so far, been blessed with the Western shifts here. Sitting, hearing, watching for Cerberus over on the other side of that hill.
But also the Freaks sitting on the west side, just comfortably waiting for the shift. I mean, they haven't had to deal with too much. They, I mean, do have 4 kills, though, and so since that initial fight, they've actually been comfortable just kind of taking their time on the ridges and this downward slope.
And again, I mean, yes, exactly. Bring Quantum Freaks into the race as well, and look at where we're positioned, lined up. West, north, south, you can favor one of them, or go east and favor potentially none. Where, oh, where are you going to go? PUBG deities, who do you favor in this circle? It's going to go west. It's going to have Quantum Freaks in, Sonics in as well. And you know what? I'm actually kind of excited to go here as Petrichor do fall out. Mainly because it's an area that has had a kind of a shadow rework that most people maybe don't know about. More ridges have been added to the big valley down below. It's way more playable than it used to be back in the day.
It used to just be a downward slope.
Pancake.
It was straight flat, but now a lot of room to work with here. And FaZe even have it into the circle, so they're not necessarily completely cut out. So this should set up for a very exciting endgame.
And this fight could be very decisive of who comes out victorious. Of all Gamers Global, you can see they're eyeing this compound. Sonics, H-Win has a Panzerfaust ready and waiting for any push that might come through. Now smokes deployed. Why throw them on yourself when you can block off the windows, block off the vision for Sonics as you rock up on the compound?
We've seen AGG, and specifically SEA, does this a lot to each other, and so this is a common practice, and it's so effective, especially in a compound like this, especially when you don't have that many angles to work with in the first place. It's only one, and so here comes the car. Zest now getting ready for the pull-up, Toby.
Nades in hands of all of the players of Sonics. They want to take them out before they even get inside the buildings. Zest is the only player current on this line, but now let's listen into the Sonics.
He's not close left on the doorway, boys. We have a B0, I'm molly to flush.
One drove back, he didn't hit. He got knocked out. Yeah. Chill out. The rest aren't on us, I don't think. Max one. I saw one drive and hit us, and he left.
Good counts. Team post southeast dip.
Pero's taking our other dip.
Boys,
Watch out,
come pick my window here, boys.
Watch out, Tig. I'm gonna pan
We
to
got
this.
recrash. I plus one. I'm running back.
Tig, can you watch my vault on yellow window? Watch my right
Yeah.
vault.
Wait, they're crashing left.
I got front
They're
door.
going
They crash left, yeah.
on my window, close. You can peek. Yep.
One more on the Shrimsy side.
Is that
He's
last?
putting on blue.
He's on Shrimsy
Did you
side.
molly me,
vault.
Shrimp?
Yeah, I did. I mollied off your window.
Okay, he's on blue. I'm gonna flash it.
Is he on the wall outside?
I think he's prone on the dancing on blue ping on
I'm
the
getting
wall.
shot in the back.
Take your time.
Do we have any lethal?
No
No.
lethal. I'm
1 HP.
gonna peek here, Tig.
He's close. Super close.
On me, on me! Para push!
He's close. I'm coming back.
Nade on 1
I'm
HP.
back. It's Serb.
See
Para
ya.
push.
Let me crawl
Sure.
up top.
We can kill this guy on me if you want.
Boys, I think my boom's about to get swarmed by
Come,
Serb.
come. Yeah, there's two on my wall. They're crouch walking. They don't know I'm in this
Can
room.
we kill this AGG
We're
guy?
rezzing.
I can't. Hey, there's only two of them served close.
Yeah, AGD's.
On my wall outside, they're nading.
They're on the east. We can slow it down.
They're gonna fight.
AGG one knock.
Three knock.
They're dead.
So
What's
I can peek your back wall.
Okay, pick out back wall. I'm gonna peek roof.
Just Serb.
I'm flashing.
He's 1 HP on your wall.
They have an
1
anchor.
HP.
Right ahead.
Slow down.
I have to run back. I'm not in a good
Another
spot.
anchor. Another anchor.
Nice.
In the far tip.
Comes. They're in the building.
Yeah, I'm flashing close outside.
Another one anchor. Another one anchor.
Okay.
One setting. One setting.
Last anchor. Green. 100% 8. 1
I
HP.
have one knock over there. Can we use
Okay,
it?
it's 1 HP. I don't have any util.
We're
He's burn-
fat.
he's
We're
burn on
fat
blue.
guys. We're fat guys.
Yeah,
Loot
reset.
for a fucking.
I have a
right now.
mortar. How far is that?
Slow it down, guys.
120, 120.
Alright, levels.
Get on roof.
I'm
We're
smoking.
good. We're good, guys. Slow down.
They said it themselves, good comms. Their ability to stay cool through a double pull-up, able to have clear comms throughout all of the chaos we just saw there is incredibly impressive. And for FaZe, the full speed pull-up onto Freaks to take that southern side position. No casualties too. What a turnaround we just saw here. Sonic's able to keep all four alive and now are set in first place.
But you heard them say it as well. It's okay, boys. Calm down. We're fed. And sure enough, they were fed in that compound. The thing I was most impressed about by that is Kickstart. The way he was able to track every member. He said, it's okay. Don't worry. I only saw two. Only two made it to our wall. They're knocked. Just the calmness between all of them. The communication was crystal clear. And that is absolutely what you want in a situation like that, which is the reason Sonics are still 4 alive and they dealt with that crash from the two teams.
Very few teams in the world can keep their
so
composure
good.
to this level, and it's amazing. The fact that we get these live tune-ins is absolutely
Makes me
phenomenal.
feel a certain type of way to clear comms.
But as much as we compliment them for holding off their push, now they have a push to make of their own. They know for a fact that FaZe Clan were able to get out of their east side position and take out Sonics. They know for a fact that Cerberus is sat inside the circle on the eastern side, and depending, of course, on where this next circle takes us, you would imagine that Sonics will have to leave this compound.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily right now, but yes, they will have to move. I mean, even if this gives them a little bit of a shift, FaZe have completely taken control of this circle, and there's still 2 members of Cerberus up. Don't forget, the other 2 did die in that crash, trying to get rid of Sonics, trying to get rid of AGG. But now, really, the onus is on everyone else but FaZe.
FaZe has to try and somehow force these two teams into each other. It would be the only way for them to properly third party. They're not in favor numbers-wise. They have better util, but how do they make use of it? Look at how split they are. If one player gets knocked here, whether it be James, Vex, or Correction, there should be no way for their teammates to get them back on their feet. So you cannot get taken down as we see James jumps for info, but it's instantly shot at by Sonics.
So James, I mean, they are down just 1 player, so
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. If you're James, do you help Cerberus? Or do you just full focus? I know, of course, there's a chance that they push on you, but do you full focus Sonics and hope that they help you? Because they know where the leaderboards are.
yeah, but he has to make sure they don't push over towards FaZe,
Of
right?
course,
Which is
of course.
basically what he's doing. I mean, you know that. But yes, devil's advocate, do you just say, forget all that, let's just focus on Sonics, let's just try to get rid of them as quickly as possible. Cerberus can win, sure, all day, we don't mind that, because then we'll make our jump, we'll get second place, sure.
They've been counting the players, obviously. They know that Sonics is still 4 players up. As one tech does come through, Sonic starting to reposition their vehicles, getting ready for rotation to come. They have 6 smokes to work with, and they need to figure out exactly how these FaZe players are positioned. But I'll say it again, if you're FaZe right now, you do not lose a single player until Sonics leave that compound. As now Haisaki, full speed forward towards the Cerberus compound. Make that Dogma, sorry.
Yeah, and luckily for them, Cerberus, as you said, have just decided to go straight towards the Sonics, so that causes even more issues that actually slows down the Sonics even more as Duckmine just on the backside of this, that vehicle close to being exploded. Doesn't quite get him, but still, Sonics have to deal with this threat.
Trying to isolate. Does Teams shoot him? No, he does not. You know what? I like this Teams again, understanding the situation. Let's Duckmine sit alive.
Yes,
Might as
so
well
smart.
leave him as a threat. Perfect understanding of the situation that you are in. Let him help you. You know you're outnumbered. Why not play a 5v3 against Sonics instead?
Especially because he knows he can get that point at any time,
Exactly.
right? It's a free kill, but he's still letting them put the pressure.
Oh.
Sonics now will fall down to just one member left.
What a play, what a setup, what an understanding from James, trying to perfectly play this finish out for FaZe Clan. They could take first with a win here. Coming into the final game, as Corexi takes down Sololzi. Now, just one left alive, and FaZe Clan sweeps the table off with a win in the second to final match of Esports World Cup.
James's brain is this, it is massive, just leaving him there.